So if I was going to ask you, what type of text do you think is more in terms of quantity? The Sharia, Nas, or the other? The other. More than 95% of our rulings are based on the other. What does that tell you? And that other is called fiqh. Al-fiqh. Sharia is from Allah, but fiqh is from the minds of people, their understanding of revelation. And now we get into how to live Islam in America, how to function in America as Muslims, and understanding that if 95% of all rulings can change based on sound scholarship and understanding, then most definitely as a Muslim in the West, I have the power and the autonomy, insha'Allah ta'ala, to function as a Muslim, since 95% of this ain't fixed anyways. And when you talk like that, people start getting scared. Well, he's trying to Americanize the religion. I am trying to Americanize the religion, because I live in America. Ask any Arab to translate Tabbat Yada. They ain't going to translate that for you. Right, Arabs? If someone says Tabban Lak, you'll have me fired. Because we know what that means, boy. So Tabbat Yada, you know, perish he. Get out of here with that, man. Perish he. No, that means like, you know, incinerate him. Right? That's the real feeling of it. And we lose that emotion in order to appease certain people. But that emotion is key to the da'wah.
So Abu Lahab was representing a lot of people when he said, Tabban laka sa'ir al-yawm. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed the surah.
تبت يدا أبي لهب وتب ما أغنى عنه ماله وما كسب.
The hands of Abu Lahab will perish, and perish he. And then the ayah says, ما أغنى عنه ماله وما كسب. His wealth will not do him any good.
And then we know that his uncle, Abdul Uzza, he said to him, Ali Dharik, is this why you brought us here? Tabban lak. And tabban in Arabic slang, we don't need to talk about what it means. A'udhu billah. But tabban means may you be destroyed. Forget you, man. That's the meaning of tabban. If you took it to the highest level, it means what you think I almost said. Real talk. Tabban lak, man. Forget you, man. Ali hadha, is that why you brought us here? Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed, Tabbat yada abi lahabin wa tab. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent this surah about this incident that happened to the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Tab in Arabic has a number of meanings, but it means hilak, tadmir, means to be destroyed. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says Tabbat yada. And tabba actually fi'l madi is a past tense verb, which means his hands were destroyed. And I remember a brother told me once, he was praying Taraweeh in a masjid in Masr. And the Imam was reading verses that are clearly applicable only to people who died as non-Muslims. With all respect. And he said he kept reading, I'm sorry guys, he kept reading it and just sitting over like, sorry to you brothers too. Just kept, I apologize. Kept reading it over and over again. He said till people started falling down in the masjid. Small surah in the village lah. People started, and he said, you know, but I knew the verses were talking about Abu Jahl, man. I said, La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. So then he said, by the end, I was the only person standing. Me and the Imam got mad. So he started like grinding it, right? He said, so finally I was like, he was like, okay, Allahu Akbar. Come on, man. Make sure the verses of Quran that you read and the hadith of the Prophet that you talk about apply to the Muslims, especially when they hereafter, because we want to give people hope and fear. But hope is more important than fear, as the ulama mentioned. Yeah. So there's barakah in the family, the aqarib, your neighbors. Also, we should take this time to invite our non-Muslim buddies, man, our neighbors, our friends, right, to participate in our homes. And if they invite us to go to the church, go, right? But we should take this opportunity to share. لِتَعَارَفُوا لِتَعَارَفُوا لِتَعَارَفُوا. So I want us to be able to appreciate this, and I'll give you some books you should read. I challenge people when I talk. You know, it's not simply about listening to a lecture, oh, that was cool, that was awesome, wow, I feel great, it's like Red Bull. No, there's a book you should read by Stanley Grantz, G-R-N-T-Z. G-R-E-N-T-Z. He was the evangelical sociologist / genius. He wrote a book called A Primer on Postmodernism. Read that book. You should have a study circle around that book. A Primer on Postmodernism. I'll put it on Facebook, inshallah, for you. Number one, the Prophet ﷺ and the Quran teaches us the correct understanding of success and being successful. And now in America, we've had with the rise of Joel Osteen, if you've heard of Joel Osteen, what they call now the theology of becoming rich. Where he says, you know, Jesus wants you to be rich. So consequently, he has like the biggest church in America, because everybody wants to be rich, right? I mean, it's great to be rich, right? I heard that the Aman al-Dawla in Egypt, the Egyptian government, shut down a number of churches. And yeah, and I have seen once I saw some evangelicals in all places in Hussein. Right? And he said something profound, and I'll finish. And he said that the mufti has to have two qualities to function. And this is very relevant for America. Ma'rifatul din wa ma'rifatul nas. He has to know the religion and he has to know the people. What books of sociology can imams read that are written by Muslim academics that can really help them understand the problems of young American Muslims? You know, really read that book by Christian Smith. Christian Smith wrote two incredible books. One of them is called Souls in Transition. He is a gifted scholar of religion, but he's also a gifted sociologist. He actually went into the streets and started asking young evangelical Christian kids, how do you feel about church? How do you relate with the preacher? Does the message work for you? Why doesn't it work for you? And he wrote an entire book about it. Right? She became Muslim, right? Her mother found out, immediately stormed her to the church. Evangelical, hardcore, man. And that's why Imam Ibn Khaldun, rahimahullah, in his Muqaddimah, he said, woe to the scholar who lives in his books. Deal with the people. Keep the religion relevant. Give life to the religion. Understand that people make mistakes. And that comes out of modernity and the concept of religious utopianism, which we inherited from our arch enemies, the evangelicals. Now we're trying to make, alhamdulillah, better relations with them. But at one time, about 9 months ago, we weren't very good friends. In the 8th century in West Africa, there was an incredible Maliki jurist who was also a medical professional. He was a doctor by trade. So he lived in Qayrawan, and he discovered that poor people don't have access to medicine, because in those days it was like iron and heavy instruments, use like a caravan to bring them somewhere. So he listened to what he wrote, and actually this isn't a handwritten book, it's not published yet. He said, I wish I could powderize medicine. I wish there's a way I could turn medicine into small powder and put it in things people could carry in their pockets. This guy's talking about tablets, man. And he said, I just don't know how to do it. I can imagine it, but I don't know how to make it. So what he started to do was actually treat the poor people, the Bedouins, the Berbers and people he actually devoted his life to treating them. Because to teach is to learn twice. Any great teacher, the greatest teachers are those who when they teach, they learn. So he's an absolute genius. And then he started to talk about something he called it dacht. Dacht means stress. Like people have stress. Like, I don't know what it is. People get like 40 years old, they had too much ABC, and they start to have problems. Like, they get headaches and pains in their bodies, and you didn't know what high blood pressure was. As a Maliki jurist, he's a little bit limited when it comes to Mahazain. But what he wrote about is actually unbelievable. He said, I noticed that music relaxed him. So he created a therapy using music. He actually developed, he had like a clinic where he used music to treat people, to calm them down. And he was a faqih, so he can come, what about salah, what about dhikr, man? That'll calm him down. He said, look, man, I'm a scholar, just step off me, dude. Not everyone is at that station of life where it's, they have it like that. But what's more interesting is in our legal text as Malikis, you'll not find one scholar who censored him for this. Not one. Why? Inspired by God, inspired by the Prophet, inspired by revelation, brings good to people. Even a faqih, scholar of fiqh, he's a doctor. And he's like, medicine, I wish I could put it like this, but I'll use music. And he had a whole theory about it. They wrote about how it helped them, right? Still it's in makhtut form, in what's called a handwritten form. So this is bid'ah, this is haqq, okay, good. But that's not how this deen works. And if we think about how this deen has been articulated for more than 1400 years by artisans, by scholars of hadith, by scholars of fiqh, by political strategists, by military strategists, by musicians, by artists, by poets, up until this point now.
ومن الناس من يشتري لهو الحديث ليضل عن سبيل الله بغير علم ويتخذها هزوا أولئك لهم عذاب مهين.
The Prophet's camel sat down, and the companions started joking with him. Yo, what's up? Ya messenger of Allah, what's happening here? Because I told a lot of you from Masjid Farouk, Sheikh Faqih's Masjid, we shouldn't call them companions. What should we call them? Can't hear you, man. Homeboys. No, the homeboys of the Prophet. Not his companions. Sound like Star Trek. Mr. Sulu was the companion of Captain Kirk. So if the Klingons would show up, Mr. Sulu was like, I'm going to be down in the deck.